Matt, that was pretty horrific viewing, especially after a fortnight ago in playing really well against Barrow, and today was probably the polar opposite. Early on, some early tries coming, and then frustration sort of creeping in.
Yeah, we'd try and pick the bones out of it. We never really started the game, did we? We conceded a try inside 10 minutes that looked for all the world like it shouldn't have been scored, and we were indecisive, and then, as you say, we made too many defensive errors that were unforced. We knew that Barrow would come hard at us down the middle of the park, which they did. We knew that the challenges on edges with a short kicking game, which they did. So it was absolutely no surprise what they were trying to do, but we never got to grips with that. And then, as you say, frustration started to set in, and sometimes the harder some players try, the worse it gets, and the game was over by half time. We were a little bit better in the second half, but still nowhere near where we should be.
Again, the frustrating thing is that for every try that Barrow scored right at the beginning of the half, we had an opportunity to score at the other end, but ball didn't go to hand, or we knocked on, or just turned the ball over, and never got on the scoreboard, which just starts to build up that more and more frustration. Yeah,
I mean, we scored at the start of the second half, and then, as you say, we don't then deal with the kick-off very well. Then we force an offload, some kind of made-up offload that goes to ground, and too many times when the ball went to ground during the game generally, Barrow were first onto it. We were lethargic, we were too slow. So any hope that we had of building our way back into the game, which is what we spoke about at half-time, about going back to basics and building some kind of game to play behind, that went straight away, because we got ourselves back in there. We scored first, and then you think, well, maybe we can start and build, and then we come up with another error, and we're back under the post again, and it's back to square one again.
Again, one of the problems that we've had over a few seasons now is not being able to win the floor, and we always seem to be slow at playing the ball, but then we're getting penalised when we're not in possession for offsides, and this year we seem to be conceding an awful lot of penalties, which we haven't been doing over the last couple of seasons.
Well, yeah, if your defensive contact isn't good enough initially, and then you will lose the floor and you will get penalised. But I do think that our initial contact is adequate. It's just what happens between there and the floor. For whatever reason, and this is something that we need to get to the bottom of, because we've practiced and coached it. But whether it's when we're not fresh or whatever it is, we do lose the floor too often, and then you will get penalised. But some of the penalties that were given are just a matter of that far. Take half a step back, and the referee's right next to you, and speak to him and be a bit smart about it. It's about managing the game as well, not just that initial contact. It's about managing the game and managing the situation.
And we've got, as I say, towards the second half, then frustrations, a few afters in contact and when they've scored, and the whole thing just starts to get really niggly, and we just start doing things even worse than we were before.
Yeah, the game became niggly all over. It wasn't just from our side. We had Michaeli taking off the ball after he'd passed the ball. We had Richie Barnett challenged and fouled after he'd scored a try. So it wasn't like we were the instigators, if you like. I think there was a bit of niggle in there, but I'd like to think that's because these boys have got some pride and they were frustrated in what were going on. Need to manage that better as well, because we can't be. Again, that leads to conceding penalties and putting ourselves under more pressure. But I would like to think that was that frustration, because they'd had the pride pricked a little bit, and that's the way that it manifested itself.
Tough league, as we always knew it would be. We've had two of the tougher sides now away from home, and conceding a lot of points. So defence, I presume, will be on the agenda again for coming up in training and just trying to plug some of these gaps.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't got much time to sulk about it. We haven't got much time to lick our wounds, because we've got to go again with short turnaround, 5 days to Friday, to a Challenge Cup game with Doncaster. But sometimes that's a good thing, to get straight back on the horse. Not too much time to as I said, to sit and lick our wounds. We'll review on Tuesday. We'll have a look at some of the things that went wrong. Try and put that to bed on Tuesday, and then look towards Friday and preparing for that Doncaster game, which gives us a break from the league after a couple of weeks. We have had a tough start to the league. 2 away games, which seems strange in itself. 2 away games to 2 other teams that are going to be right up there at the top of the league it's also a strange one, especially when you look at some other clubs who've had rather more favourable starts to the season. But that's part and parcel, and we've got to deal with that and move on. We'll get some home games at some point. So,
okay, well, we'll look forward to the cup game and let's see if we can right a few of the things that are coming in and not being perfected during training at the moment.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye.